I just have something to tell you. I'm down here at Denny, and there was a little girl that just walked in that looks exactly like that girl.
A peaceful home nestled in the remote area of Wolf Lodge of Coeur. Inside lived 8-year-old Shasta Groene, her 9-year-old brother Dylan, their older brother Slade, their mother Brenda, and Brenda's boyfriend, Mark Mackenzie. Brenda had separated with her husband Steve Groene and eventually went up to live with Mark. What was expected to be a regular day would soon become the horrifying truth of their lives. An unknown 911 call that evening reported an unidentified vehicle in the area with an axe and toolbox in it. The vehicle was brought up there by Joseph Edward Duncan III. A nightmare for the children. Duncan was driving by when he saw Shasta and Dylan playing outside their house, and suddenly a devilish thought crossed his mind. That night, while the family slept, Duncan stalked them through the darkness, armed with night vision goggles, duct tape, zip ties, gloves, and a sawed-off shotgun. He had chosen this family at random. He slipped through the field behind their house, creeping toward their home in complete silence. After waiting outside the house for about an hour, at around 3 a.m., Duncan entered through the back door, left slightly open. Inside, he found Brenda asleep on the couch. He froze, then backed away into the kitchen. But the house remained still, quiet. He continued. The 2 family dogs sensed movement and charged him from a nearby room, but stopped short when they saw the weapon. With his heart pounding, Duncan went to Brenda and whispered in her ear, "Where's your husband?" She is shocked to see a man at this time of the night with a weapon in their house, but she replies, "My husband doesn't live here." And then Duncan asked for the man of the house, to which Brenda ran upstairs and woke up Mark by shouting, "There's a man in the house with a gun." Mark rushed towards the stairs, while Brenda rushed to the children to wake them up and gather them all in the living room, as she was told to do so at gunpoint by Duncan. Duncan gathered Brenda and Mark at gunpoint and zip-tied them. Within minutes, the entire family was bound on the living room floor. He surveyed the scene and later recalled to detectives in the investigation, "I stood for a moment and looked at my work. I thought how easy it was." Then he carried Shasta outside, laid her on the grass, and warned her not to move or she'd be hurt. Moments later, Dylan was brought out and placed beside her. What followed was an eruption of violence. Joseph retrieved a framing hammer from his backpack. He took Slade outside, out of view, that he was not visible even to Shasta and Dylan. He struck Slade in the head twice until he collapsed, assuming he was dead, returned to the house and told Brenda to stand, but she wasn't, as she was tied by the zip ties. Duncan helped her to stand, using the hammer to cut through the ties in her legs. He then mercilessly struck Brenda until she fell to the ground. Mark was in a shock, watching all his family die in front of his eyes. Duncan delivered 2 or 3 blows. Mark cried out, "Ouch!" the same word Shasta later reported to police. Brenda was still alive, as Duncan noticed this. While describing this situation to the detectives, Duncan tells that what he did next was an act of compassion. He covered her face with a blanket, as he didn't want to look at her. Then he swung the hammer again, ending their pain. After finishing off there, he got outside, only to see Slade talking while being injured to Shasta and Dylan. Duncan took Slade away from them and struck him with hammer until he was satisfied that the boy was no more alive. He then carried Slade's body and laid it next to her mother's feet. Duncan carried both the children and loaded them into his red Jeep Cherokee and flew from there deep into the Montana wilderness. For nearly 7 weeks, Shasta and Dylan were held captive in remote campsites across Montana. They were chained to trees, drugged with pills dissolved in their water, and psychologically tortured. Joseph forced them to write letters to their father. One said, "We might see you guys again." Another from Dylan read, "We are still alive. We're okay. We know what happened to Mom." This made their father tense, and Mr. Groene started to search for his children along with the police. But then came the moment that still haunts everyone involved. Joseph took Dylan away, alone, to an abandoned cabin in the woods. When they returned, Dylan was injured. He wouldn't say much, but Joseph would later show Shasta a videotape he had filmed. In it, Dylan is seen tied, beaten, and hanging from a noose. Joseph screams at him, "The devil is here, boy! The devil himself! The devil likes seeing children suffer and cry." In one horrific clip, Joseph brought Dylan down from the rope and pretended he would take him to a hospital. Later, during another incident, Joseph fired a shotgun inside a container, hitting Dylan in the abdomen. Whether it was an accident or not didn't matter. Dylan died, and Joseph burned his small body in the campfire. Just hours after Dylan's murder, Joseph drove back into town with Shasta. They stopped at a Denny's restaurant. Shasta was eerily calm, but two separate 911 calls reported a girl matching her description, seated with a tall, slim man with curly hair.
Yeah, hi, friend. This is the manager at Denny's. Yeah. I've got a little girl here with a tall gentleman, and she looks so much like this. Okay. Are they still in the building? Yeah, they're at table 20. And can you describe the male to me? I'd say 6'3". Okay. Really slim. Okay. Dark hair? Yeah, curly. The hat on. And we're not sure, she looks so much like her, and I don't know. All right, we'll have someone start that way. Okay, thank you. And if they leave, call us right back, please. Sure.
Officers arrived within minutes. He was immediately arrested. Shasta was taken to a nearby hospital. There, she revealed the unimaginable story. Officers reached out to her father, Steve Groene, who rushed to her side. Authorities secured the stolen Jeep and sent it to forensic labs. Inside, they found duct tape, rope, camping gear, GPS units, a laptop, and a sawed-off shotgun. Video production equipment was also found, later linked to recordings of the torture. A day after Shasta's rescue, authorities located a cabin in Montana. Then, near St. Regis, they discovered human remains, confirmed to be Dylan Groene. Joseph, now in custody, requested to speak with a jail chaplain. He confessed to killing 3 people in a house. He later gave detectives a full breakdown of that night, down to the minute. He spoke proudly of using disposable shoes to throw off forensic evidence, of using gloves, of how he stood on a lawn chair to look through the children's window, of how the family dog made him, forcing him to act. When asked why he killed the family, he said it wasn't rage, it was mercy. Putting them out of their misery, he claimed. In the aftermath, authorities uncovered Joseph's encrypted blog, The Fifth Nail. In one entry, just days before the Groene murders, he wrote, "My intent is to harm society as much as I can, then die." He admitted to abducting and killing 10-year-old Anthony Martinez in 1997. The boy had been snatched in broad daylight in California, and his case had gone cold. Fingerprints from duct tape in that case matched Joseph. He also confessed to killing 2 girls in Seattle in 1996, Samiello White and Carmen Cubias. Their remains were found over a year later in a muddy hillside. Though no charges were filed due to lack of evidence, Investigators believed him. Joseph Edward Duncan pleaded guilty to 3 counts of murder and 3 counts of kidnapping. He was given 3 consecutive life sentences without parole. In 2008, he received a federal death sentence. In 2011, he was given 2 more life sentences for the murder of Anthony Martinez. During court appearances, he wore a bulletproof vest. There were fears someone might try to kill him before justice had its say, and then he was gone. Joseph Edward Duncan III died of brain cancer in prison. No final statement, no remorse, just silence. But Shasta Groene survived. She was the only member of her family left alive. She lived through 42 days of horror, captivity, and loss. And when she finally escaped the hands of a killer, she told the truth. She exposed a monster, and in doing so, saved countless lives. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to shoot the like, share, and for more stories like this, hit the subscribe button, because there can be a knock on anyone's door.